Alright, so we're doing this drawing in half scale. I'm going to annotate that up here on my paper just so that I don't forget, in case I come back to this years from now and want to use the same grid. Okay, cool. We're going to establish a line here that is roughly on our scale 6 foot-ish out from center-ish. And draw on this line. And then I am going to measure out from here to my 12-foot mark. And I'm going to bring my T-square over. I think I'm going to have to move the camera a little bit to mark a line going up and down here as well. So I have 2 marks. Now I want to do 10 foot. I'm going to look at this again. Yep, so I have 12 foot this way and 10 foot this way. So I am just going to, using my 90, 45, 45, come up here and I'm going to connect a line between these 2 points. So now I have essentially a U shape here, and I need to establish this line, next line, 10 feet down. So I'm going to take my half scale and measure along this line. Remember that on these scale rules, it's just been like a hot second since we used one. Don't start at the little tiny tick marks, start at the 0. That was one thing I noticed was probably the most common mistake I saw on our first assignment. On our first assignment. Not our Paraline, because I've only graded one of those so far. And if you didn't submit your Paraline drawing, please submit it today. Was that people would come in and start measuring from the tiny tick marks here instead of starting from the 0, and so everything was a foot off, essentially. So we're measuring from that 0 to the 10. Then we're going to use our T-square to come and put in this bottom line. So now we have our initial back wall. This is not our picture plane. Our picture plane is going to extend towards us, and we will get there eventually, but the first thing we're going to do is grid out our back wall. So gridding out the back wall, very simple. We are just going to take our scale rule. I always toss this over and I'm like, where's my thing? And we're going to line it up along this line, and then every time we have a foot mark, we're just going to put a tiny little mark along the side. And then we're going to do the same for the top here and put our foot marks along. I need to bring in my shorter T-square, that way it's not so long I have to move the camera around all the time. Okay. I am going to, first things first, use my T-square and my triangle at a right angle to come across from each of these tick marks all the way across. And if at any point I'm getting super far ahead of you, just let me know. We'll slow down because we want to get this right so that we can do all of our drawings one at a nice scale. One thing to consider is you are setting up this back wall to be a specific size. So up here where I wrote my scale, I'm going to write that this is back wall, and I'm going to say it is 12 wide by 10 high. That way if I'm ever doing a room again that has the same back wall proportion, or if I'm drawing multiple layouts for a room, that's another good way. Or if I am drawing quick and loose and I have like, it's 24 foot wide by 10 high, or sorry, by 20 high, I could use this too, but just know that each square is 2 feet. Alright, so once we have these horizontal lines drawn, I'm going to come in with my T-square to complete our vertical lines. So this is going to create our square grid in the back. And I'm going to have to momentarily move the camera here to get Alright, we've established our back wall, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to just lightly erase out any extra line markings I had. I made these initial ones kind of long so I could decide where to center this. There we go. So once again, the cleaning up as you go will, in the long run, keep things a little neater and simpler. So we have a nice grid. This looks a little wonky, but I think it's just like the levelness of the camera. It looks pretty square here. Alright. So that is step 1, and then step 2. I will post this slideshow as well, so if you ever want to reference it. All of the videos at this point I think are going up on YouTube. Canvas like only stores so much like file content. And so just to be aware, I also have this video that I've saved because this is a good video to follow along with. You'll have this specific one that if you just go to my channel and playlists, everything is in this INTD 1100. Alright, so any videos I show you in class, plus any videos I make in class will be in here. And they will be labeled. So if we have, part 1, part 2 of our isometric drawing, and then part 3 as well. Or that's our orthographic. This shading isometric. Okay. Alrighty. Oh, this is our, here we go. Okay, so now we're going to move on to steps 3 and 4. So on step 3, we're going to establish our horizon line. So our horizon line is roughly at like viewing eye level. And in this we have it established 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up from the floor. Usually it's going to be, yeah, just a bit above our center point. So, oh, and this, that's funny. Okay, so they gave us this dimensions, but this is not those. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, this is only 8. Okay. We do want it to be this 12 though. Alright. In that case, let's see, that's our 6. Let's establish our horizon line at 7. So, our horizon line is going to be established. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, that's too high. Oh, yeah, that's right. This measurement is 10. We're good. Let's establish it at 6 then. That's my dyslexia coming into play, as if I'm sitting here going, all right. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to establish our vanishing point. So that is our point on the horizon line that everything is going back to. In this case, just for beginning, I'm going to establish it just in the center. So that's like if we were standing centered in the room, looking towards the horizon line, this is going to be our VP, our vanishing point. And you'll want to label that. So I have it labeled super small. I'll zoom out here in a bit. If I don't, please remind me. All right, so we have our vanishing point. It's established on our horizon line. We can mark this as HL. Okay. So, oh, sorry, this is our center vanishing point. That's right, it's a fancy one. So CVP. And our horizon line along here, HL. That's steps 3 and 4. Now we are going to extend out our lines through here. You extend them out from your vanishing point coming through the corner of the page. So on the slide, our vanishing point is slightly off center. So these look a little wonky on ours that we're going to do. They're going to be at nice 45-degree angles where they come through the center. So you'll line up your T-square and your triangle, and you want it to go from your center vanishing point out through the corner, and you're going to extend that line out. We're going to do the same thing, but I have to turn up here. And this one I'm just going to have to, okay. Line up just a straight edge here and here, and extend out. Then I'm going to line up from my center vanishing point to my corner, extend out this way. I'm going to end up zooming out here so you can see center vanishing point to corner, and extend out that way. Whoops, I didn't mean to draw over my grid. I want to keep that clean. So I just start from the corner. Okay. Now I need to find another angle because I need to find my right and left vanishing points. I really only need to find these because we are going to be figuring out our diminution, which is that amount that it gets smaller. Okay. So, what do they have it? Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do to set this up is I'm going to pull out a line that is as long as my initial wall here. And it's going to come from the bottom. I'm just going to slide this. Let's go back. Slide this here. I'm going to draw out my line, and then I'm going to draw in my tick marks, starting and going this way. Eight, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, I didn't quite have that line long enough. This is the trickiest part, and every time I have to think through it. I just have to like go through slowly and figure out what the heck I'm doing. Alright, so we have our step 6, we have our essentially wall planes coming out from the corners, we have this little tick line marked here, and then we are also going to extend our horizon line to be 1.5 times our width of the room. Grab a sticky note and extend it off. Like position your sticky note so it's just over to the side. I might need one too. I might not have got this centered enough. Okay. So this will be, let's see, it's 12 wide. That makes this 18. So if you don't have enough room, what we're going to do is we're going to set this and then take your sticky note. I'm going to show you what's going on over here. I've set this at 0 here, and I'm going to slide the sticky note under my scale rule, and then I am going to extend out my horizon line as far as I can on my paper. Oh gosh, here we go. Oh, that's what's causing it to be. So I'm just going to extend, 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 slide, and then I will extend out, stop, don't draw on the desk, draw onto my sticky note. All right. The other thing that you could do is if you want this permanently marked on there, we won't need it after today, and you could always set it back up, is you could just take another piece of paper and tape it on, because we're going to do our final drawing over top of it. But if you run out of paper, this is a handy trick. Or when you get to 2100 and we're doing things like a little bit more eyeballed, if you need your vanishing point somewhere off to the side, using a sticky note or a piece of tape off to the side is a good method. All right. Because sometimes we start drawing and we're like, ah, dang it. Okay. Gonna measure out to 18 and mark my point here on my sticky note. And then we're gonna come back. This is going to be our measuring point. Okay. So now, what we are going to do is we're going to use a straight edge. And we can use anything for a straight edge except for our scale rule, because our scale rule is not set up to be a straight edge. And we are going to measure from this measuring point down through these tick marks to make our points along this line. We are not going to actually draw in this part, because then we have to come in and way later erase it to like make it make sense. What you're gonna do, I know it's drawn in here. I wish it was in a different color. If you had a colored pencil, it would be okay to draw this in, and I might do that for you, because I have, actually, there's only 4 people in this class. I have enough photo blue pencils that we can use them. This while we get these photo blue pencils. Alright, I just realized something kind of like, duh. It doesn't affect our drawing here. We weren't given a wall height. This is the back wall, not the floor plate. So right now we have 10-foot ceilings. That's whatever. We weren't given a height. You would actually want this to be the height of your ceiling, not the width of the room, because the width of the room is going to come out this way. Sometimes when you're turning things in your head, it goes a little wonky. Oh well. If I was like, oh no, all I would have to do is come up here, and I could either shorten this and have a really high horizon line, or I would probably just redraw my horizon line a little bit lower, find this MP out lower, or like move it down to match, and I would be fine. Not that big of a deal. Okay, so we are going to use our straight edge, and I need to come like this, and our non-photo blue pencil to get these lines in. And we want to come from this measuring point, or also it's our left vanishing point, and come through our first tick mark, and right here is the important part. But see how you can barely even see this on camera? I could try to make it a little bit darker. If you scan, so in the olden days, when things were basically Xeroxes, is what we had. I say this like I was there. I was a little bit beyond this. I was born in 1993. So when they just had Xeroxes, the cameras in early copy machines could not read this color of blue. It was just like light enough, and basically you were only doing black and white copying. So you could straight up just take this to a copier, copy it on like a big, large format architectural copy machine, and it wouldn't show up. So that's why it's called non-photo blue. Today it is or copy not blue. Today it will show up on most scans. The nice thing about using it is if everything else is in black and white, you can take it into a program like Photoshop, select this specific color, and just tell the program not to see it. So a lot of people still use blue for their drawings, just kind of based off of history. Oops, I didn't extend that far enough, because we want to extend it down so that it's coming through our bottom of our wall line here. And I am going to extend this out 10. So I actually don't need a couple of these, because I only need the 10 tick marks worth. So you want to make sure that you're getting it nice and lined up as much as possible, coming through where these points intersect on this line, coming straight out. So the video that is not the one made by me that I have on YouTube shows a slightly different way to do this. Either way works. So if you want to look at that way too, if that makes a little bit more sense to you. But also, if you're just going step by step, this way isn't that confusing. Okay. So I have this like ray extended here. What I am going to do is I'm going to use where it intersects along the bottom of this like wall line or this plane here. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That is the depth of our room. That's as far as I'm going to go. And our picture plane is essentially setting against this wall. So what I am going to do now is I need to set up my T-square again, because I want everything to be running parallel to this line. And I'm going to set up my T-square and my right angle. And now, with my regular pencil, every point here where it crosses my wall line, I'm going to line this up and draw a line. you'll notice as they come closer to you, the space in between your lines gets just a little bit wider and a little bit wider. That is our diminution. So diminution is going to be one of those words that will probably end up on exam number 2. Just a little hint. That is that things further away from you are decreasing in size proportionally to things that are closer than you or to you. So we just keep going, setting up our little lines of diminution. We'll have to keep sliding this over. At some point I'm going to have to, it's not going to stretch all the way across because I don't have that big of a triangle, so I'm just going to get it lined up, go part way, and then, oh, it's just my last one, that's not too bad. And then slide my scale rule over and complete that. So I now have my lines going that way. Woohoo! So you can see the distance between here and here is much larger than here and here. In fact, it's about double. Not quite. So I'll wait until everybody's kind of looking up, because I don't want to go on to the next thing just yet. I'll find our slide though. All right. So this is the point that we are at.
Final drawing, is this like what we'll be using to make the room?
Yes. Well, we will put a piece of onion skin over top of this and then draw in the furniture using that, so that we can count out, oh, okay, if this is, it does require like some eyeballing, but you can get it usually within 5 inches to a couple inches. All right, so now we are going to start using our vanishing point. The idea of vanishing points is that all of these lines will extend from here and go directly back. So if I have, I'm going to draw this in my blue pencil too. If I'm lining up this corner with the vanishing point, oh, thank you. Right, if I'm lining up this corner with the vanishing point, anything that extends out this way should lead back here. That same thing happens going this way. So I am just going to align my vanishing point with each point on this wall at the bottom and draw my lines like that. So it just requires pivoting from the vanishing point, using a straight edge, and drawing out these lines through this plane. So these look skewed, and they will, because they're not straight on. The floor is traveling deeper into the room away from us. as they come towards your vanishing point, they will become more and more parallel to the point that when you get here and your vanishing point is traveling straight through, you will just have a extension of your middle line. In 2100, we discuss and draw how to do this more like eyeballing it so that it's faster. But if you are doing a very precise drawing, this is what you will do. It's a good step to take to understand the foundations of what's going on. That being said, in most design firms, they will probably have a software of choice that will just generate this type of drawing for you. And each firm is going to be probably a little bit different about what their choice software is for doing floor plans and layouts like this. It's good to know how to draw it so that if you're sitting down with a client and want to get a sketch across really quickly, that you can do that. Or for the collectability, if it's a big important project, having those designs sometimes becomes even part of the finishing design. Like there are companies who will display like the initial idea of the space, especially if it's a very like modern space or has had some cool elements. There are like beautiful, beautiful drawings historically, that are saved. And the downside to using a software is if you don't print it out, eventually, usually that digital copy is no longer readable because of just changing in formats and things like that. Whereas your drawing it physically exists in space. All right, so we have our gridded out floor plan here. This is our floor, this is our back wall. I'm going to just erase out some of these extraneous lines. And before we start our next part, let's just take like a 5-minute break. To run, grab water, use the restroom. Let's take a look at our next step. All right. So now we are going to work on our walls. Our walls function very, very similarly to the floor. We are going to come back here. And you are just taking your vanishing point through each point up the side and marking it out. At this point, I do like to come in with my vanishing point and like really bold the edges of each plane, so that I don't get too confused as I'm looking at it. So, vanishing point through to the edge.
It doesn't matter where it's on this line.
Where it's where?
Like the bottom line going out.
Do you mean this?
Like the one that's going horizontal with the tick marks. It doesn't have to.
I'm gonna come look.
This one here.
No.
It's
No,
just-
that's just for figuring out the flooring. It's just to the edge of this our back wall plane. So if I come in just along that edge I put in bold there. Yeah, this doesn't matter anymore. If I had thought about the non-photo blue pencil, I would have done that. You'll notice that your horizon line just extends straight out. And this is where you really see the foreshortening / the diminution of the lines from here to here coming out to this way. They're much bigger here than they are here. And we're going to do that also on the other side. And the more precise you are about coming through the center of the vanishing point and the center of this point, the more precise your marks will be along the wall. We're going to leave the ceiling basically open for now. So we want it to look like that. So we are here. Our next step is going to be extending lines parallel to the edges of our plane, because only things traveling away from us are getting smaller or have this skew. Everything going up and down is still going straight up and down. So what we're going to do here is you are going to find the point on the floor here, and you are just going to, using your square rule, draw a line straight up from those on each side. I'm going to need to sharpen my pencil a little bit. It's getting kind of dull. This goes pretty fast. Yeah. It's what we're doing is we're setting up the basis for an optical illusion, right? Where it looks like it's going deeper, because our brain loves pattern recognition, and so it wants all of these squares to be perfectly square. And it's recognizing, because we have squares back here, that each square is theoretically the same size. And so what our brain is interpreting that as is that things are traveling away from us. Drawing is ultimately, especially in perspective, but drawing any scene is an attempt at an illusion to make a 3D drawing, or something 3D but on a 2D surface. I'm cleaning up the top edges here. So now I have, oh, I forgot one. Getting my wall nice and parallel. There we go. So here we are. Now, if we want to, we can go ahead and do the ceiling. I typically like to set up my ceiling. In this case, I'm not going to, because I don't have any overhead lighting. But if I did, let's just say I had something centered, I would go ahead and figure out along this wall, let's say my overhead lighting I knew was 4 feet out. Here, and then let's say it was 3 feet away from the wall. What I'm simply going to do is take my vanishing point there and then come across at 3 feet here, and I would know that like my light hung down from that point. I usually would just chart that out because I don't have as many things hanging from my ceiling. If I had lights like this, I might chart it all out because there's a bunch of different lights. Typically though, we're not that concerned as interior designers with where the lights are, unless it's some sort of feature lighting, like a chandelier. So now we are going to prepare to start drawing in our furniture. So the very first thing that we can do, this is an example here of our 1-point perspective, and then another example drawn in the same type of space. We're going to go all the way back here to our chart, and we're going to grab our paper, our tracing paper. If you don't have some, I can use some today. But you want the tracing paper big enough to cover your like entire area here. Yeah, as long as it fits your whole.
It just doesn't really have much of a feel.
That'll be fine. can also cut off from this roll if you want.
You want one? Mine's at
Yeah, I would rather you borrow or take some from the roll than not have it. Okay. What I like to do with the tracing paper is to just weigh it down because it tears so easy. So usually I'm just like setting some heavy stuff in the corners. If you have a good like light masking tape, that can work. But you want to set it down over your grid. And we're actually going to end up doing, we might end up doing a couple layers to get a nicer drawing. Let's see. Where did I put my pencil? There it is. So I am going to kind of just make this smaller so that we have our floor plan here. So we don't have, I think we do have a, cool. So we're going to kind of go back and forth between looking at this floor plan for how the seating is arranged and looking at the dimensions here. So the first thing that we're going to do is up against this wall, coming just a little bit out from it, we have, looks like a corner table, which is 30 by 30 inches. So let's see, 30 inches divided by 12 is 1.5 feet, or sorry, 2.5 feet, right? Yeah? No. This is where I always have to just pull out my calculator. Oh yeah, 2.5 feet. Okay, I was right. So we're going to come out. I am just going to make this really easy on myself, and I'm going to say it's 6 inches away from the wall. So if I make a little mark here, about halfway through my point, or I can even, that's this close to the wall, I can say, okay, that was so darn close. I have 6 inches there. So if I extend out from my vanishing point through that line, and I start about halfway through my line of diminution here and go to the 2 foot mark, I have the table sitting parallel to the wall here and starts here. I can, if I want to be super precise, have a little mark here along this measuring point, come from my measuring point through that little mark, is that, I don't think I got that. So that's 1 foot. through my little mark to get that point. Now I need my square and my triangle, and I will measure this out to also the 2 foot mark. So because I placed it 6 inches away from the wall here in this corner, I have that figured out. I'm also going to do the front while I'm at it and mark it out to the 2 foot mark. Then I can follow this line using my straight edge. That is the base of my table. Now it needs to be 20 inches high. So I need to measure along this point, this axis, and find where 20 inches is. So 20 inches is 4 inches short of 2 feet. So I need to come up to my 2 foot mark, measure down. Let's see, 6, 3, 4, and give myself a little point where my 4 inches is. I'm going to zoom in here because this is itsy bitsy. So this is where my 20 inches is. I'm going to then just lightly extend this out. And now I'm going to draw up from each corner back here to my 20 inch mark. Now I have to find where 20 inches is along this line, because this is the front of my box. So 20 inches here is going to be a line that runs from my center vanishing point through my corner here. I'm just double checking this. Yeah. To this line. Oops. That's why it was looking weird. I wasn't getting from that corner. Okay. Oh, just like something strange is happening. That is there, yes. So that is there. So now I'm going to extend this forward and come here. There we go. So now I have this plane, this plane. I can also come straight up. Oh gosh. From this corner and then use my straight edge to come across like that, as well as I'm going to darken up the back because we can see that line. And then I'm going to line up my corner here and my vanishing point, which should go straight through the back corner as well, to create like a see-through S box here. Now I'm going to erase out what I can't see. So anything behind this first plane, I'm going to erase, and anything behind the top plane. So I'm left with a box shaped like that. Yeah.
I'm confused. I think I don't know what.
Let's see.
9 inches from the center point on top.
The only reason I can't just measure out 9 inches from the center point is because this is already 6 inches out from the wall this way. So this is the only true measuring squares here. So if I want to center 18 inches on this 30-inch table, you know what? Let's do this. If we extend our point back till it touches this wall, and then we can measure out 9 inches from that. That's what I want to do.
My paper broke, and now I don't know where to box it.
Oh, probably. We should have put in some keystones. I'll show you how to do that.
So then you measure 9 inches from that point.
From this extended point where it touches the back wall. When it comes down to really small details like this, I'm going to eyeball it. We have our center point. We know that this is 30 inches from this point to this point, and we want a total of 9 inches coming each direction. So 9 minus 15, or 15 minus 9 is 9, 10, 6 inches. So we're going to come in approximately, what is that? Oh man, the dyslexia is getting to me today. Okay, I'm going to come up here and do some little math. Okay, so our total lamp base is 18 inches, and we want to center that, so we'll divide by 2, which equals 9 inches. Our total table base is 30 inches. If we divide that by 2, it's 15. So the difference between 15 and 9 is 6 inches. So now from our 30-inch table, so this is 15 inches, so that's 3 inches bigger than a foot. We're just going to come out, honestly, pretty small. I'm going to just go about halfway between here and here, and a little bit less than halfway coming towards me. Then I'm going to draw out my lines like that. That looks pretty good to me. I'm going to extend up these lines using a T-square from this base. Oh. So from this base, which is right here, this is why we go along step by step. So it's this smaller square inside of our top square. What we really want to make sure is that it's sitting on top of this plane. We're going to extend up the front of this plane, and then we can see a little bit of this side. We're not going to be able to see any of that side, so I'm not going to extend it up. It'll save me some erasing later. Now I need to find the height of it. Height, a little bit easier to do. So we know our table is 20 inches high off the floor, and we know that the additional height here is 32 inches, which leaves us with 52 inches off the floor. 52 inches divided by 12 is 4.3. So we're going to count up from if we just kind of dot, dot, dot over to the side, we have 2 feet, 4 feet, and then we want 0.3-ish of this total length. So if this is 0.5, then 0.3 is going to fall about right there. I'm just going to take my T-square and draw a line over here. These did not quite go up far enough, so I'm just going to extend my square up. Now, this square that we can see here, or this box form, is the overall height of my lamp. Oh, I also need to extend from this corner to my vanishing point, and from this corner through to my vanishing point. Just making sure I got this all right. Yep, okay. There we go. And then I need to slide this directly up. Oh, that's too far forward. And give myself kind of the same box on top. Okay. So these should be angling back towards my vantage point. Okay, I have that. This is the total height of my box. I can only see this side, and a bit of the top because my horizon line is up above it. So the top, I'm going to extend from the corner of my front back through my vanishing point. And then I need to figure out where my, so if I dot this over to here, and then I dot this up for 24 inches. Oh, there's an easier way to do this. is to take this, figure out where my vanishing point is back here, and then just line up my this corner until it hits this line. So I have my height measurement here. I took it, figured out my vanishing point, extended that line, and then just took from this corner on through until it hits this line, and that's where my other corner is. So I can just see just like the barest amount of the top. I do need to figure out now the shade height, which is 16 inches, and that will come down from the, well, I can just bring the base height up. Okay. So starting from the base, we're going to go up to find the base height, which is 16 inches. 16 inches is about, this is 12. It's a little less than, let's see. I need to figure out where this line extends to. Okay. How much is that off the floor? 16 plus 20, that is 36. Okay, so 32 inches is 3 feet. And then we need to add 4 inches, so it's going to be a little bit less than half right here. And then we're going to just bring this along the front, and then from that point towards our vanishing point, that is our base height. Our lamp shade ends up coming down just a bit over top of the base. All right, let's go back. What point are you confused from?